Hey guys, welcome back to the QC show. My name is Chris Lanning, and this week is part 2 of my discussion with Benny Lee. Enjoy the show. So to change direction, you spent a lot of time in Taiwan learning Chinese. And I know for you, when you came here, you didn't have a very good grasp of the language.
And I still don't.
Okay, well, you went to Shida. I believe it's like the premier school for foreigners who are learning Chinese.
I think so, yeah.
Could you tell me what that was like?
Oh my goodness. It's kind of embarrassing actually. So I went for the first time back in 2008, just to see what it was about. Like this was my first time in Taiwan, and I decided to take some kind of lesson. And that was phenomenal. It changed my life. I met so many wonderful people. The program was just so much fun. And I did that for a few months. And then when I went back to Canada, I didn't go back to Taiwan for a decade. And then 10 years later, I go back. Like, I have to start from scratch. So I sign up. To their credit, they keep impeccable records, and they found out that I had once enrolled at Shida. And so when I was doing the entrance exam, the teacher said, "You know what? It sounds like I know you can't say anything in Chinese, but it sounds like you can understand me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you in a special class, and this class is for people who, like a lot of ABCs or foreign-born Chinese, you learn the language from your parents." Just the basics, but you never learned how to read or write and stuff like that. And so she put me in the class of people who had been speaking Mandarin their entire lives, but didn't know how to read and write. Unfortunately, I didn't know how to speak at all because I had forgotten everything from 10 years ago. But the only way I was able to stay afloat in that class was through the reading and writing, because we were all starting from square one. So I could keep up with that. But everyone was speaking pure Mandarin in the class, no English allowed, and I was struggling. But I mean, it was a great group of people, so I still had an incredible experience, and I got to hang out with them after class. But it's just that my second experience trying to learn Chinese was like trial by fire. It's just throwing me out into the deep end and struggling. So that was like my full time, that was hardcore learning Chinese, and that was a very rewarding experience. But yeah, I think if I were to do it again, I'd want to start back at my level with people who I could speak with at my level. But yeah, it was great. I would totally do it again if I could.
Do you recommend that as the best way for people who are foreign to the language to learn?
I think it's the most fun way. There are less expensive ways to do it. There are more intense ways to do it. It really has to do with your own initiative. Like the problem was, I'm not a very ambitious, motivated guy. So, I wanted to go to school because it put me in an environment where you had people who were encouraging you, who put you on a program and you knew what to do, and you were with people who were going through the same thing you were going through. There are some people who will just jump into a new language and go all in, basically. Like, they will not speak English at all, and they will just punish themselves. That's the wrong word. No, they will just push themselves to sink or swim. And you definitely learn the most that way. But I don't know. It's just to each their own. It's just not my style. That takes a lot of energy, and sometimes I like my cheat days where I can just speak English to a friend and not have to, just have my dreams in Mandarin sort of thing.
I think that cheat day was every time you came over to my place.
Cheat day was every day for me. I should have been more diligent. I would have learned a lot more. But yeah, definitely I loved going over to see you because I could totally relax back into the language I'm supposed to know well.
Right. It sounds like I didn't do you any favors, though.
No. I wasn't doing myself any favors. So don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, I seem to recall, too, with my own lessons, I tended to incorporate too much English. And I also wasn't rigorous enough with only using Chinese?
It's a consequence of living in Taiwan, I think, and having everyone, all the locals can understand English. It's very easy to lapse back into, familiar territory and just rely on English because you can get away with it. But other countries where the culture doesn't know your language and they're not as receptive, it's easier to stick to your guns.
So once you could speak, basic Mandarin, how did that change your life in Taiwan? What were some things that you could do that perhaps you couldn't do before?
Let me think about that because that takes some. This is like a trick question.
Well, it's not a trick question, but I think it's an excuse. As you said, a lot of people speak English there, and that's an excuse for not learning the language. Because some people seem to feel, perhaps myself included, that it doesn't really change your experience. When, of course, it does. It would give you a different perspective and a different way to interact. But can you think of any situations?
Well, I never became fluent to the point where I could like converse with the taxi cab driver, sort of thing. It's more like I could ask simple questions and make simple statements. And I think the highlight for me was I was able to give. I was on a hike once, and I passed I got lost, and I ended up on some country not country roads, but like paved roads. So it's like civilization. A couple came up to me, and at first I was going to ask them directions of like where to go, but then they came to me and they asked me directions because they were lost as well, and I was able to point them in the direction of like a convenience store that had passed a while back. Yeah, I was very proud of that, and I think that's the most Mandarin like sink or swim Mandarin that I've ever done, and like it actually had an impact on myself and people around me. So that was pretty cool.
Right. I've also had experiences where I have conversations with people and I feel quite satisfied, quite proud of myself that I'm able to do that. And then later on, I'm told we were both having completely different conversations.
with Taiwanese politeness, I think, that's definitely a danger that that's always there.
Well, yeah, in this case, this person was actually leading with questions. And then I was like, yeah, that's right. And I was saying, it's in Taipei or in Taoyuan. And I just didn't understand the question. So apparently I had told them that I was a high school teacher and I taught in 3 different high schools, which I've never done before. So it was kind of a funny situation, totally different conversation.
I mean, I think it points the fact that you were able to hold a conversation and navigate through that confusion. It's a testament to how far your skills have come.
At the end of the day, do you think Shida is the way to go?
Yes, definitely. Like the program is flexible enough to accommodate any schedule and any situation. And you're only going in for like maybe 1 or 2 hours every day. The only thing it is on a set schedule, so you do have to go in every day. You have to be diligent about it. But I think that's the same for any language program. It relies on consistency. So you have to go in every day. But there's so many student programs. So many things happened because I was connected to Shida. Like I met so many people and they introduced me to other people, and having that community was the best thing about the whole experience.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, here's to you returning for a third sojourn to experience more Chinese, and I'll join you. I'll join you this time.
Yeah. Well, okay. When I'm 50, how about that?
Sure.
10 years time, we're doing it.
In 10 years time. All right. Thanks a lot, Benny.
No problem, Chris.
Hey guys, well that's it for another episode of the QC Show. Thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, don't forget to subscribe and feel free to leave comments. That's it for now. See you next week.